What's good, people? It is Tony the Savant. And before we get started, please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content and going live on the channel. As well, if you have not already, please please subscribe to the channel. Excuse me, as I drop content daily, go live daily. We are building a sports community here, and I want these videos to reach as many people that love sports the way I love sports as possible. And last but not least, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I love to have dialogue about these sports topics. And ladies and gentlemen and sports fans, we got to talk about this Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach boxing match. If you've been living under a rock, this fight went down about a month ago now, three or 4 weeks ago, and it was a controversial outcome. A great fight, but very controversial on the outcome, as many have believed that Tank Davis took a loss in this fight, and I'm included. If you didn't see the fight, I forget what round it was. It might have been like the ninth, but Tank Davis ended up taking a knee. Outside of that, there was no real, uh, how can I say that? There was no real point in the fight, I should say, where you felt like Tank Davis dominated. Although, on paper, he should have did so. I'm hearing a lot of people say this was a cherry pick gone wrong. I also agree with that because I'm of the opinion that Tank Davis doesn't have many people on his resume, that are of note, if any. And he tends to fight these guys that he knows, we know, everybody knows that he can beat. And so, with Lamont Roach having a better performance than everybody assumed he would, um, we've reached a point in this particular situation where Lamont Roach won the fight, amongst public opinion. It was also stated amongst the athletic commission that although in real time in the fight, the referee did not count Tank Davis's knee down as a knockdown. Excuse me. The athletic commission will later on rule that it was a knockdown. Now they didn't change the outcome of the fight. Tank Davis still got his zero. That fight is still on the record as a draw. But amongst public opinion, I don't think we can kid ourselves. Tank Davis definitely lost that fight. And now, with all the controversial and all the controversy, all of the hype, all of the commentary that's surrounding this fight, Lamont Roach is demanding more money. As again, he feels like he won that fight. He's hearing. I should say this: these boxers, these athletes, they hear what we be saying in the streets. I've talked to many of athletes. Not that I'm any kind of someone special, but it's not very difficult to reach these guys. And Lamont Roach and Tank Davis, amongst everybody else, they've been hearing what the streets been saying, and so although they were contractually bound to, I believe, two fights, and as far as I'm understanding from the research I could do surrounding this situation, the money was set for both the first and the second fight, but again, with all of the attention that's being garnered by the first fight, Lamont Roach is demanding more money. And me personally, I think respectfully, I think he has the right to do that. One, because I think everybody except one or two Tank Davis fans are saying that Lamont Roach won the fight. But two, he actually had a better performance than we all expected. Nobody, as far as I recall, doing their commentary leading up to the fight, nobody had Lamont Roach winning this fight seriously, and the fact of the matter that there was a lot more questions than answers surrounding this fight. I think Lamont Roach has I guess you could say, leverage. It's hard to say leverage when you are contractually bound. When it's in black and white that you agree to this. Um, I think that it's kind of difficult to call what I'm saying leverage, but I'm gonna use the word leverage for now because I think Lamont Roach deserves more money. Of course, the rematch is going to do probably twice, if not quadruple, more quadruple the numbers this particular fight did, just off GP, because everybody's actually paying attention to the fight now. Um, Lamont Roach should get paid a little bit more, man. And I want to do a video talking about the PBC and all of the mess surrounding them, but it seems to me like the PBC is out of money, and there's some PBC defenders out there, whatever. They believe differently, but how the PBC is moving, it just seems to me like they're out of money, because this is a big money fight all of a sudden now. The rematch is a big money fight. A lot of people are comparing this to Roy Jones versus I think Antonio Tarver, or I can't think of another rematch that had this much hype off the top of my head, but a lot of people that I'm hearing, they're comparing this rematch to that. So it's the fact of the matter that I think Lamont Roach does have the right to come back to the negotiating table, but he is contractually bound to what he agreed to prior to the first fight. So this is a slippery situation. I think that goes without saying. And for me personally, I have been a Tank Davis critic for quite some time, because I feel like Tank Davis, he has cherry picked himself into this situation. It was a matter of time before somebody was able to figure him out. And happenstance, Lamont Roach is from the same place that Tank Davis is from. So, they've sparred a lot over the years, over time. Lamont Roach, is very familiar not only with Tank Davis's styles and techniques, but his power. So I'm pretty sure coming into that fight, he kind of had a gauge of what to expect if Tank Davis did give him, all his power and all that kind of stuff. And Tank Davis just kind of, again, cherry picked himself into this situation. And now he has to fight up against a real fighter. And what I'm hearing, let me say this. Lamont Roach was already a good prospect. For me personally, I've seen one or two of Lamont Roach's fights before this fight with Tank Davis. He was already a decent fighter in my opinion. I just didn't have him in the same tier as Tank Davis. But from what I'm hearing behind the scenes as well, is that Tank Davis don't even want this fight. There's a lot of, he don't want the rematch. And it just goes back to, another thing I've been saying that a lot of other people been saying, that Tank Davis doesn't want to fight anybody that's going to give him a challenge. He did not expect a challenge from one Lamont Roach, and now he doesn't want the rematch. So much so that there's been rumors swirling about him fighting Jake Paul, which is just, I can't even wrap my mind around that. Jake Paul, to me, he's a part of the circus, racket of that surrounds boxing right now, where you have these celebrity matches and all that kind of nonsense. These exhibition matches. Floyd Mayweather has put a few of them together. So I don't pay attention to those. I don't take those kind of fights serious. I never even watched a Jake Paul fight, to be frank. But the fact of the matter that Tank Davis, who is regarded as the quote-unquote face of boxing, regarded as a pay-per-view superstar, all this other stuff that people just bestow upon him, in my opinion, he has not earned. Somebody of that quote-unquote stature wants to fight a sideshow guy like Jake Paul. It's just beyond my imagination, especially when you consider that Tank Davis has a whole array of dudes that he could fight. I mean, there's been talks about him fighting Keith Thurman. There's been fights, of course, we've been talking about him and Devin Haney fighting forever. But we got Shakur Stevenson right there in I think the 140-pound division, right there with him, another champion. Amongst other Tiafimo, Loma, there's a lot of guys out there that Tank Davis could fight. Before we get to a Jake Paul, but it just this is where we're at with Tank Davis, man. And I hate to say this, is sometimes, some guys, you'll say something right now. What I've learned about in this sports game is that, like, right now I'm talking about how I think Shadur Sanders isn't going to be that great in the NFL, not to veer off from the topic, but, in another 3, 4, 5 years, when what I say comes to fruition, you see a lot of guys just kind of, tuck their tails at that point. Not that I'm trying to, step on nobody, but it's just something that goes back to what I say about Tank Davis, is that this dude does not want to be, he doesn't want to fight the best of the best. I don't think he has a true desire to be an all-time great or the best of the best. How I feel, I think Tank Davis is just kind of using boxing as his own little personal racket, to fatten up his coffers. Which, if he looks at it just as a job, then that's cool too. But what I get annoyed with is all of the undue praise that he gets, yeah, and it's just like, a lot of we've seen it in this fight. We've seen a lot of it. This fight that he had with Lamont Roach was very revealing to what Tank Davis really is. When you strip away all of this cap and all of the glazing and all his fanboys, when you take all of that away and he has to get in that ring and prove himself, you know, um, we learned a lot with this Lamont Roach fight. And now I personally see why he don't want to fight Shakur Stevenson. Especially see why he don't want to fight Devin Haney. Because respectfully, just off the image, it kind of, Lamont Roach just kind of looked like Devin Haney, just as far as the haircut and all that kind of goes. And I couldn't imagine if Tank Davis was in there with Devin Haney's hand speed and his ability to kind of become whatever kind of fighter he has to become. Devin, he'll fight you on the inside. We all seen that he's mastered the ability to fight on the outside. That's why a lot of people don't really like him, because his fighting style initially was of an outside type boxer. Again, seeing Devin fight on the inside, seeing him fight in the mid range. You know what I mean? So it's the fact of the matter that if Tank Davis was in a fight, it was in a boxing ring with a guy like that, an A++ tier fighter like Devin the American Dream Haney. Oh man, you know what I mean? It would have been way worse because Tank was getting pieced up by Lamont Roach, who was a guy that came up a weight division. You know what I mean? Not just did Lamont Roach come up from 135, I think it was 130 or 135, but he was also, regarded as a lower tier fighter. And this dude got in the ring and held his own, was going tit for tat with Tank Davis. I'll never forget those counters, especially the one when he hit Tank Davis right on the nose. I think I used that for the visual right here. But he would hit him with a counter right on the nose, and Tank Davis was legitimately dizzied. You know what I mean? So I can imagine taking a boxing ring with a Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or somebody that's of a higher skill level. And I couldn't imagine that version. If the Tank Davis that showed up for the Lamont Roach fight was in the ring with one of them brothers, he would lose a lot of credit overnight. So I can see why you don't want the rematch as well. You know what I mean? A lot of people are kind of turning on Tank. I see some of the Tank Davis loyalists out there that's still capping and glazing, but at the end of the day, the overall general opinion of Tank Davis is that, he lost, and he needs to run it back, get it back in blood, like they was telling Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, so but Lamont Roach wants more money, and a lot of people in itself are, a little they freaking out at that. A lot of guys, especially the Tank Davis loyalists, are saying that Lamont don't deserve more money, that he shouldn't be asking for money. Tank don't have to give him more money, all this kind of stuff. But come on, man, the kind of performance that Lamont Roach had. If Lamont Roach didn't show up in that fight, nobody would be asking for the rematch. I think that's what the Tank Davis fans are forgetting. Only reason we asking for a rematch is because Lamont Roach held his own versus Tank Davis. So Lamont Roach generated all of this attention, all of this hype, all of this talk that's surrounding their fight now, because nobody was really, was checking for Tank Davis unless you was a Tank Davis fan or you was somebody like me who's a diehard boxing fan. Well, I'm gonna pay attention regardless, of what the general opinion is. Excuse me. So, me personally, I respectfully think Lamont Roach deserves more money, but it's also in black and white that he agreed to a number, and he might be bound to that. But there's also rumors that if Lamont Roach doesn't get more money from this rematch, then he will move on to fight Shakur Stevenson. At least that's what the rumor is right now. So I'm not mad at that either. I'm not really stunting Tank Davis no more. I would love to see Tank and Lamont fight again, but I would have loved to seen Devin and Tank fight 5 years ago. So it's like this dude. It's just something about Tank Davis to me, man. He just never does what I personally think he should does, what I personally would want him to do. as a former fan of his, because now I'm just a critic, to be honest. I don't expect nothing from Tank. He has not provided me any reason to believe in him. So, that's kind of how I feel right now. So I'm not stunting Tank Davis. If he does decide to because he would have to agree to get Lamont Roach more money, as far as how the contract goes, he would have to agree to that. And if he doesn't agree to it, then, it would just be more of what I've already expected from him, which is Tank is always going to do what I don't want for him to do. So I would love to see Lamont Roach, just move on and continue on building his own profile. And man, him and Shakur, that might be a good fight, if he is able to fight the same way he did against Tank. But we'll be covering that. Keep our eye out, keep our ear to the streets on that. That's all I got for y'all on this one. Once again, please like the video, share the video, hit the notification bell on your way out. As well as leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I would love to hear what y'all have to say about this dude, Tank Davis. And do you personally think that Lamont Roach should get more money? I mean, that's just something that's swirling right now in the boxing community. I'm on the yes team, and so tell me what y'all think about it. But it is your boy Tony the Savant. Peace.